And you can't live your life based on like what other people are going to think, how other people are going to feel, because at the end of the day, it's you. It's your life. Right. So it's going to make you happy.
And we do have some breaking news that we want to bring to you. It was being reported by TMZ and now Fox News. We are learning that Jay-Z is accused of a 13-year-old girl. That is new in the Diddy lawsuit.
Oh, you thought Lori Harvey was just another pretty face caught in the splash zone of Beyonce's legendary side eye. Yeah, we wish it were that simple. Because what's coming out now goes way beyond a flirty glance at the Rock Nation brunch back in 2019. This story runs much deeper and a whole lot darker than anyone's been willing to say out loud. Picture this. Lori wasn't just romantically linked to Diddy during their so-called relationship. Allegedly, she was being passed around like a party favor at his infamous gatherings. And Jay-Z? Well, insiders claim he wasn't just casually popping in. According to whispers, he was one of the main players. And if you thought Beyoncé's reaction to that 3-second clip of Lori batting her lashes at her husband was intense, just wait until you hear what she supposedly knows now, or at least what the streets say she's been told. Because this isn't about cheating, sweetheart. This is about control. And Lori's sudden move to lock down her social media? That wasn't about dodging the Beyhive's emojis. That was the move of someone who knows she's standing right on top of a landmine.
What's the best advice they've given you?
Just remember that you're the prize at all times.
Boom.
Best advice.
Now, let's rewind to that brunch for a second, because the way this story usually gets told, you'd think Lori just accidentally caught Jay-Z's attention while Beyoncé was busy serving looks in that jaw-dropping outfit. But come on, nothing in Diddy's world ever happens by accident. People close to the situation say Lori wasn't just present, she was positioned, part of a long game Diddy's allegedly been playing for decades. And Jay-Z? He wasn't just making small talk. According to whispers, he was allegedly testing the waters. Remember when that photo hit the internet and everything exploded? The Beyhive swarming Lori's comments, bumblebee emojis everywhere, and Lori locking down her socials like her life depended on it. Yeah, what if that wasn't just fan outrage? What if that was damage control? Because something bigger was about to come out, and someone needed to shut down fast. And let's not forget how Lori unfollowed Diddy right after the backlash started. Coincidence? Or was that the first move in cutting ties before the whole thing blew up in her face? But here's where it gets even messier. Lori wasn't Diddy's first so-called project, and she definitely won't be his last. This is a man who's allegedly turned access into currency, where young women get close to power only to realize they're the ones being traded. We've seen this pattern before. Cassie Ventura, Audrey English, the list keeps growing. They all started out as muses and ended up as warnings. And Lori? She checked every box. Beautiful, well-connected, and backed by a stepfather the world sees as America's favorite uncle. And Steve Harvey. He's been real quiet through all of this, hasn't he? No press conferences, no fiery speeches about protecting his stepdaughter, just silence. And in a family that loud, silence isn't golden. It's suspicious. So let's ask the question nobody else wants to touch. Did Steve know what Lori was walking into? Or is he just another man who looked the other way because the benefits were too good to pass up? Are you kidding me? He even said he confronted someone about it, and still, nothing gets fully said. And then there's Beyonce. Oh, Queen Bey. The woman who turned Lemonade into a cultural reset and convinced the world she could forgive Jay-Z for anything. But what if this time isn't about forgiveness at all? What if it's about strategy? Because let's be real, Beyonce doesn't just react to scandals. She plans. And if the rumors are true, if Jay-Z was really involved in Diddy's dark little games, then this isn't just a rocky marriage. This is a career-ending chess move. Think about it. Beyonce's got a tour coming, a legacy to protect, and 3 kids watching her every step. You really think she's going to let Jay-Z drag her name through the mud again? Or is she waiting, staying quiet, choosing the perfect moment to drop the hammer? Because if there's one thing we've learned about Beyonce, it's this. She doesn't fight in the streets. She fights in the court of public opinion. And honey, she almost always wins.
This morning, rap mogul Jay-Z is denying allegations he assaulted a 13-year-old girl alongside rapper Sean Diddy Combs. That civil lawsuit filed against Combs in October was amended Sunday to include Jay-Z. The accuser, identified only as Jane Doe, says she was assaulted by both men.
But here's the question nobody seems to be asking. What happens when the music stops? When the parties end, the cameras shut off, and all that's left are the receipts. Because Diddy may be in jail now, but the machine he built, that's still very much running. And Jay-Z, he's right there in the spotlight. The FBI is circling, lawsuits are stacking up, and every day another name gets pulled into the open. So while everyone's fixated on Lori's smile or Beyonce's next move, let's zoom out for a second. This isn't about one woman, one relationship, or even one mogul. This is about an entire industry that's allegedly been fueled by exploitation for decades. And if Lori Harvey was just another piece on the board, then the real question is, who's next? Because one thing is clear, the party's over. And the cleanup? It's going to be ugly. Now, let's talk about those parties for a minute. We've all heard the stories, the white parties, the after-hours chaos, the so-called freak-offs Diddy made infamous. But what if those weren't just wild nights thrown by a music mogul? What if they were auditions? Because here's the thing about Diddy, he didn't just throw parties, he curated them. And that guest list, it wasn't about who was popular, it was about who was useful. Sure, you had the A-listers Jay-Z, Beyonce, Usher, the usual names. But you also had the newcomers. The girls with big dreams and small bank accounts. The ones willing to do whatever it took just to get close to the door. And Lori? She fit that mold perfectly. Young, ambitious, connected. Exactly the type who gets courted, wined and dined, and then allegedly passed around like an appetizer. And let's not act like this is new. The whispers have been around for years. Stories about Diddy's parties, the NDAs, the girls who showed up bright-eyed and left looking shaken, but nobody really talked. Because in this industry, silence isn't just golden. It's required. You want a record deal? Stay quiet. You want a role in the next video? Don't ask questions. And if you do speak up, well, just ask Cassie Ventura how that worked out. Or Audrey English. Or any of the other women who tried to tell their stories only to get buried under lawsuits and smear campaigns. Because that's how power works. It doesn't just protect itself, it destroys anything that dares to threaten it.
With respect to the evidentiary value, yes, it happened 24 years ago, right? More than 24 years ago. But in the allegations, there's a few things. Number one, there's allegation that another celebrity was present at the time, right, in addition to other people. Number two, there's the claim by the victim, right, that she left, that she went and she was seen by a gas attendant who saw her.
But here's the real twist. Diddy's in jail now, and Jay-Z? The pressure is on because the walls are closing in. And the one person who could truly take him down isn't a lawyer, a judge, or even the FBI. It's his wife. Because if Beyonce has taught us anything, it's that she doesn't just walk away from a man, she erases him. So while the internet keeps debating whether Lori is a victim or a villain, the real question is this: what does Beyonce know? And more importantly, what is she waiting to do with it? Because one thing about the Carters, they don't lose. They strategize. And if Jay-Z's name ends up tied to Diddy's in those lawsuits, you can bet Beyonce is already 10 moves ahead, mapping out her next step. And when she makes it, it won't be a simple scandal. It'll be total destruction. Now, let's rewind to the beginning, because this story didn't start with Lori Harvey. Not even close. It started way back, when Diddy was still Puff Daddy and Jay-Z was just another hungry rapper out of Brooklyn. These two didn't just come up together, they ruled together. And the way they did it, let's just say the blueprint wasn't written in ink, it was written in blood. This was the 90s, when the music industry was ruthless, and the rules were clear. If you wanted in, you played the game. And Diddy didn't just play it, he mastered it. Bad Boy Records wasn't just a label, it was an empire. And empires aren't built on talent alone, they're built on secrets.
So what happens now is this is simply a civil complaint. And in a civil complaint, it goes through the technical legal process. Now, the distinction, Jessica, between civil and criminal, of course, is that civil is for monetary damages, right? The system can only reward you with money. There's allegations that this 13-year-old is suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder, suffered depression, etc. So now you go to fact.
Remember the nightclub shooting back in '99? The one where Diddy walked away untouched while his protege Shine took the fall? Or how about that stabbing incident the very same year, where Jay-Z pled out and ended up with probation? Coincidence? Please. These men didn't just survive their legal problems, they came out stronger. Because in their world, a charge isn't a setback, it's a credential. The more you get away with, the more untouchable you become. So when we hear about the parties, the girls, the alleged assaults, when stories surface about a 13-year-old in 2000 or Lori Harvey in 2019, we have to ask ourselves, was this ever really about music? Or was it always about power? And let's sit on that word for a second, because it's not just about what these men allegedly did. It's It's about what everyone else allowed them to do. The industry looked the other way. The media dressed it up as a lifestyle. And the fans? We bought the albums. We streamed the songs. We wore the merch. We turned them into legends. And now we're all acting surprised when the receipts start rolling in. But let's be honest, we knew. Maybe not the specifics, not the names or the dates, but we felt it. That quiet alarm bell in the back of our minds every time another story broke. Every time another woman spoke up. Every time another party ended with more questions than answers.
If you're a halfway intelligent person, when do you start questioning how lucky some just keep getting?
Right.
So when we look at Lori Harvey now, her social media locked down, comments wiped, silence everywhere, we have to ask ourselves, is she scared of the Bayhive, or is she scared of something much worse? Because sure, the Bayhive can be ruthless, but they don't have the kind of reach Diddy has. They don't have the resources, the lawyers, the power. And if Lori really was tied into Diddy's operation, if insiders are right, and she was passed around the way they claim, then her biggest fear isn't angry fans online. It's the men who run this industry, the ones who've spent decades making sure nobody talks, the ones with attorneys on speed dial and NDAs stacked higher than the charts. And that brings us right back to Beyonce, doesn't it? Because if there's one person with the clout to shake that entire system, it's her. She's not just a wife. She's not just a mother. She's a billionaire, a cultural icon, and allegedly, she's angry. So while the internet argues over whether Lori is a victim or a willing participant, while tabloids obsess over who smiled at who, Beyonce is playing the long game. And if Jay-Z's name really ends up tied to that lawsuit, if the FBI is truly circling, then trust, she's not just thinking about divorce. She's thinking about destruction.
But after that major documentary comes out on Diddy, then you're going to start to hear more and more about Jay-Z and his nefarious.
Because at the end of the day, this isn't just a story about Lori or Diddy or even Jay-Z. It's about what happens when the queen decides the kingdom has to burn. And when Beyonce is the one holding the match, nothing walks away untouched. This wouldn't be the first time. And if we're being real, it probably won't be the last. So let's rewind to the year 2000, back when the music industry ran on smoke, mirrors, and backroom deals dark enough to turn your stomach. Picture this, a 13-year-old girl, wide-eyed and full of dreams, ends up at one of Diddy's infamous after-parties. She's handed a drink, sweet strong, and then everything goes black. The next thing she knows, she wakes up in a bedroom that isn't hers. And she's not alone. Standing there are two of the most powerful men in music, Diddy and Jay-Z. We've all heard the lawsuits, the denials, the carefully worded PR statements. But strip away the noise for a moment and ask the real question. What kind of man looks at a child and sees an opportunity? And what kind of industry allows that to slide for decades? Because this wasn't just one isolated horror story. This was the blueprint.
In a blistering statement, Jay-Z accuses Jane Doe's attorney of trying to blackmail him. He said further, quote, "These allegations are so heinous in nature that I implore you to file a criminal complaint, not a civil one. Whomever would commit such a crime against a minor should be locked away."
And if you think that was bad, let's talk about the white parties, the so-called exclusive events where Diddy played Kingmaker and the real price of entry wasn't a designer outfit. It was silence. These were gatherings where, according to multiple allegations, underage girls were put in dangerous situations, drinks were tampered with, and so-called rites of passage were really abuse disguised as opportunity. Lawsuit after lawsuit paints the same disturbing picture. A teenage boy allegedly lured into a private room with promises of stardom, only to be humiliated and exploited. A security guard who claims a night at a 2006 party crossed a line after the drinks turned out to be more than just strong. And then there's Audria English, the former adult film actress, who says she was groomed into trafficking at these very events where champagne flowed freely, and so did intimidation. So ask yourself this. If that was the culture back in 2000, if that was considered normal behind closed doors, then what do you think was really going on in 2019 when Lori Harvey walked into that Rock Nation brunch smiling, with Diddy's hand resting on her back?
I was with a girl, and he was asking about her, and then he was asking me stuff like, you know, would you be interested in, like, you know, somebody watching? He was just asking some really, really bugged out questions. And I still have those emails. I still have all that, you know? So, like, that's one of the things that I was going to include in the book. I'm just trying to figure out.
But here's where it gets even darker, because this wasn't just some twisted Diddy fantasy. It was an open secret across the industry. And yes, we've got the receipts. Remember when Usher sat down with Howard Stern and casually dropped hints about the things he saw at Diddy's house at just 13? The parties, the doors you didn't dare open, the lessons no kid should ever have to learn. Or take Justin Bieber, the golden boy, spending 48 hours with Diddy at just 15, joking on camera about Lamborghinis and girls, while Diddy himself smirked and said, "Everything ain't for everybody." Funny how that clip resurfaced right after the FBI raids, isn't it? And Khloe Kardashian? She casually mentioned on Keeping Up with the Kardashians that she'd been to one of Diddy's infamous parties, and surprise, Bieber was there too. So let's ask the question no one else will. Was Justin just a guest or part of their game? And speaking of games, let's talk about what the FBI actually found when they raided Diddy's mansions last year. It wasn't just a few suspicious photos or shady texts. No, they found over 1,000 bottles of lube, enough to stock a small pharmacy, and a collection of AR-15s that would make a militia jealous. And that's only what they admitted to. So imagine what's still hidden behind those walls, tucked away in hard drives, safety deposit boxes, or in the memories of the people who were paid to stay silent. Now, let's bring it back to the present. Diddy's behind bars. Jay-Z's lawyers are scrambling to keep him out of one. But the machine they built, it's still running. Lori Harvey's deleted her posts, but the photos remain. Her arm around Diddy's waist, her laugh caught at events where the real business went down behind closed doors. Steve Harvey, still silent. Because what do you say when your stepdaughter is caught in a scandal this massive? Do you defend her or distance yourself? Or just pray it blows over before the next Family Feud taping? And Beyonce, oh, she's watching. Because this isn't just about her marriage anymore. This is about her legacy, her family, her empire. And if the whispers are true, she's not just waiting, she's calculating.
Lives, and we may actually see one of the biggest divorces in Hollywood is because Jay-Z is up next to be exposed.
And if there's one thing we know about Beyonce, it's that she doesn't let anyone, husband included, put her legacy at risk. But here's the part that should really keep us all awake at night. This isn't just about Lori or Diddy or Jay-Z or even Beyonce. This is about a whole system that's been running on exploitation for decades. A system where young women become currency, where silence is the price of admission, and where the only thing that truly matters is who's holding the power. And right now, that power is shifting. Diddy might be locked up, but the parties haven't stopped. The drinks are still pouring. The girls are still smiling for the cameras. So while everyone's busy arguing over who knew what and when, we're skipping the real question, who's next? Because if Lori Harvey was allegedly just another name on the list, then who's walking into that VIP section tonight, thinking it's just another glamorous invite? And that's where this chapter ends, but not the story. Because the truth is this isn't over. Not even close. The lawsuits keep stacking up. The FBI keeps digging. And Beyonce? Let's just say if she ever decides to drop the hammer, the entire world is going to feel it shake. So what do you think she's waiting for? And more importantly, who's actually afraid of what she might find out? Stay sharp, stay skeptical, and remember, in this game, the only thing more dangerous than the truth is the person who's been hiding it. Until next time, keep your eyes open and your comments spicy. We'll be watching.